Welcome to Potatoes Gang. It's so great to have you join us on today's episode. Today we examine whether an honest person can do business in Nigeria. We've seen what the business landscape is like in Nigeria, and so let's find out what the gang thinks about this.
Yeah, gentlemen, I found out why I'm not rich yet, like some of you. Because
speak for yourself. Poverty is not my portion.
I compare as well.
Because can an honest person like me do business in Nigeria? That's a question, because...
What school did you go to?
Well...
You have to go to some schools.
Because I find it difficult, to really do business and survive as an honest person. I don't know about, whether we have experiences here and there.
No, but I think that it is possible to do business as an honest person in Nigeria, actually. In fact, you may not be one of those that jump out in front with the biggest bank account. Mm-hmm. But in the end, the work that you do probably will ultimately make it easier and easier for you to do business. Many years ago, one of my colleagues at the business school wrote a case study on one of the multinationals. It was NTC at the time. Mm-hmm. There was this executive director there who just refused to give a bribe. And I know same for Nigerian breweries when Mr. Ohiwere managed it, for example, that they just would not give a bribe. And at that time it was import licensing, and people would go, and import licenses were given only to chiefs and alajis, you know what that means. Mm-hmm. Multinational companies would go, they won't get licensed, their manufacturing lines would be down, and all of that. Mm-hmm. And this man just insisted, the factory was being threatened, he said they won't give. After a while, people who work the licenses, they said, this useless man won't give anything, just give me what you want. Let me wait for those who will do business with us. So I think sometimes it reduces your cost to be honest in doing business. It is possible to be honest. The thing is that there are too many people who think that it's not possible, and they play into the hands of those
and again, the definition of honesty.
It comes down to choice.
Yeah.
As human beings, in everything we do in life, it comes down to choice.
Choices
we always choose what we want to do, or what we can and should. It's all about. I mean, there is a book, Man's Search for Meaning. Mm-hmm. Very good book by Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
It says, to a very large extent, we may not have control about what comes our way. Mm-hmm. But we have total control about how we respond or react to what happens to us. So like in every other thing, everybody can choose to go right and you choose to go left. Mm-hmm. There's a book called The Road Less Traveled. Mm-hmm. What is your choice? Because whether you choose right or wrong, there is a consequence.
That's right.
But you just need to choose. You see, the true test of a man's character is what he or she does when nobody's watching.
That's right.
So whether anybody can do business in Nigeria and be honest about it, it's a matter of choice.
But you know, one of the things that strikes me, and I think
it's not about dramatizing it.
It's a very important lesson for young people. I think about Nigeria 30 years ago, 25 years ago. Many of the people who made the most noise, the people who were the cheap launchers at every event. In those days, my friend Demure Bruce was getting started with his beauty pageants. I would not mention any names, but there was one particular guy who was always the chair, was the this. And suddenly he disappeared. One day somebody said he saw him driving a taxi in New York. There have been so many people like that in Nigerian history. When you see the immediate show of wealth that's going up and down, you say that's the new way to go. No. As Charles says about choice, there's instant gratification and there's delayed gratification. What really makes you is delayed gratification. Unfortunately, many people are rushing to it and having a bitter end. Mm-hmm. That's a very strange way to run the race. Start well, end poorly. It's better to grow systematically and gradually with a sense of contentment, and you peak. And that's what the challenge is about whether you do business honestly or choose not to do business honestly in Nigeria. It's too much temptation not to do it honestly, but really the price is there to pay.
Mm-hmm. I think Charles hits the nail right on the head by saying all we do in life is our choice. No matter how corrupt the environment is, you have a stake, you have a choice to make. I know of a businessman in spite of the fraudulent and corrupt nature of our import system, imported the consignment for a motor assembly plant, which is a regular raw material for that sector. It's been doing it for more than 5-6 years. The same consignment comes on the same tariff code and the same tariff rate. Suddenly, the system changed the tariff, and it refused to comply. It refused to compromise. He said he would not pay because he knew there was no change in the tariff. The consignment was about entering into demurrage, so he took what other businessmen call the risk. He paid the bill, but he told the officials he was going to come back. He paid the bill issued to him, went back to government, wrote a petition, submitted all his papers, informing that if he had delayed, production would have stopped in that factory. Government came back, surprisingly, to indict the agency responsible for collection of the duty. This gentleman received 100% refund of the excess he paid. He became an instant winner.
Yes.
To his colleagues, he was an immediate champion.
Yes.
But what many thought was a risk turned out to be his bailout package for life when he was in business.
Wow.
Because every year the consignment comes, they will say, look, this troublesome man has come again. Let him take his containers and just go away. So it's the choice we make that really determines whether we want to do business in the right way or not. They can demand bribe from you, but you have the choice to say, no, I will not do it.
No, but a friend of mine in 2016 imported some items from China, and he got to customs for clearance and all that. The custom official said, you have two choices. Number one, you can pay the full duty. Number two, we can give you our own rate. And the guy looked at him and said, okay, he was going to come back. It was very tempting, knocking off about 45-50%. And then the other money he will pay. And I asked him, did you take it? He said it was very, very tempting. One, if he sells the product in the market, he's going to make more profits because his costs will be down and all that. He mentioned all of this. But again, can he sleep well at night based on his own upbringing, the way he was brought up? So he said he'd rather sleep well by paying the full amount so that the government can benefit from this. Because if he pays the second option, it will go into the individual pocket.
Yeah. Well, this leads to a very big dilemma in this whole thing, which is when you get to a situation of extortion, where a whole business employing 5,000 people may close because there's this intransigent customs officer that's ready to go to hell and back, let the business close down, and he keeps at it. My position is the way to manage that is to build relationships, to build networks of people who can say to that guy, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
But it can get to a point where it becomes the same as an armed robber holding a gun to your head and saying your life or your money. If you say, this is corruption to give you money that you have not earned, there might be no life. So what do you do when an armed robber is holding? You may just say, take. But many people use extortion as an excuse for encouraging corruption. And so we have to be very, very careful where we make that judgment call of whether we are in an extortion situation or whether we are fostering this festering soul of corruption.
And just on a private level, some time ago, there was a function in your house, and I brought my children to visit. It was their first time, and they entered the house with like, can an honest man that's private live? I said yes. This is what your daddy is struggling. If I wanted to be rich, the way build and all that, I would have been use the shortcuts and all that. But in life, you have to go through the
and
the whole
again,
hog.
it just shows the power of perception. The stories that have been peddled around. And you see what is implanted in the young minds of the growing up children of this country, that to make it rich, you just have to do what every person is doing. So there is even more damage that is even being done to our society by the kind of signs and signals that are going out there. So young people do not
You realize
think
that
or
it's
believe
possible.
that
That through hard work,
so
So you can do it.
have a
I didn't
quality
know.
of
I didn't
life.
realize it until
Yes.
they told me this. That this is what they're thinking. That there's no way you can make it. All the time they think, Daddy, look at what other people are doing.
pages of our papers on a
Yeah.
daily basis. What accosts you?
Celebration
Billion,
of yes.
either celebration of wealth
Still going well.
or cases of corruption that are badly managed.
So it is presumed that anybody
So-
who makes good in life
Must have
It's a consequence of
you know.
We have a partner last year. She did a survey for
Maybe
Students
maybe
living-
actually you should hold it there. We'll take a short break and then you continue from there.
okay.
Yeah.
We've heard from the gang and seeing that doing business in Nigeria as an honest person comes with a sacrifice. The gang also seem to think that it depends on the landscape that you're in and the industry that you operate from. But what do you at home think? Let's find out more from the streets.
When the government is saying that way, it will be reduced. We don't want people that are just striving to get there.
Honesty person can do business. But I find that I discovered that if you check out of 100% of successful businessmen or women, you will discover that it's 20% or 25% that can be honest. 75 or 80%, if you check their roots, you will discover that they are not honest in business. And I hear people that normally say that if you want to be a straightforward, a honesty person, that you cannot succeed in this country. Quite all right, that is exactly what happens. Most of the rich people you see today, my brother, if you check their foundation on what they are doing now, you discover that the majority of them are not honest.
Well, I think, yes, an honest person can do business in Nigeria. And why I said so is it's not everybody that is not honest in Nigeria, because we all have this feeling that Nigeria is corrupt, Nigeria is this and that, but there are still good people from my own perspective. And if you're honest, it even pays to be honest. With time, people will find you out, and I think your business will be better for your honesty.
Continue with
Yeah,
your
I was telling the story of a partner who did a survey last year when schools were closing for the long vacation. She had talks with students moving into the SS3. And the question placed before them was, what would you like to become after you leave school? Out of about
Musician.
20, 25, almost 90% voted that they would like to become politicians.
Wow.
wow.
And she went back and said, why? And he said, because I want to be rich. I want to make money. So what you put in the public domain, what you put in the public space is very critical in shaping the future and fortune of our children.
Yeah.
And that's how society gets trapped in this dangerous trend that value system is totally upside down.
Whereas interestingly, traditionally, politicians were poor people. That people who so sacrificed that they had nothing. I mean, if you think of when our first
That's why they're called public servants.
Public, yes. When our first republic came to an end, you looked at the Sardauna, he had literally nothing but a few Abarigas when he died in 1966. You look at Okpara, medical doctor, could have had a practice, he had zilch. In fact, people had to get together to build him a house after the Civil War. You look at those real
The most enduring thing in
servants.
Eastern region today are the legacies of
Okpara.
Okpara
And
that our present governor is mismanaging.
And the point that I'm making to a lot of people is, you see, all the governors that came after these people, who remembers them? Nobody remembers these fellows. But people still remember, which means that Michael Okpara has attained immortality.
That's right.
He continues to live long after his body has become dust.
Yeah.
That's what people go into public life for, the pursuit of immortality. But to think that every attempt at public life is about acquisition, is to kill public service, to kill the ideals of why people seek for this view of society over others. And another point I think that's very important to make, even for private sector people, is that in the long term, the person of integrity wins.
Yeah.
Because you see, that a few Nigerians I know who are on international boards of major corporations, they don't go around looking for the richest Nigerians to come on their board.
No.
They look for the Nigerians who have integrity.
Integrity,
They look
yeah.
for a track record. and you get to that point, you are on 3 or 4 international boards, and you are earning $400,000-500,000 a year from just going to board meetings and coming back.
Yeah.
Now, that's achievement, that's sustainable, and that's what we need to educate young people to move towards.
And then,
But another, the flip side of, is it possible for an honest person to do business in Nigeria and succeed is, does our system encourage probity or honest people to get into business? Again, because we also, at every point in time, look back to be able to solve whatever challenges we think we face. Let me not call them problems. How is our system structured to ensure that people who want to do good are encouraged to do so? Because at every point in time, even from all of what we have said, it does seem like the people who want to do good are in the minority.
yeah.
Why? Because people don't get to see that if you do wrong, you get sanctioned.
So the
So
system,
it takes us back
Beyond
Institutions,
beyond the sanctions, the institutions we have that provide the environment for business, private sector business, are virus infested. They have very strong, powerful deficiencies.
what kind of virus is that?
until we are able to clean the system.
virus.
For example, if government gets into the act of having to fix prices for services, something must be wrong. You want to fix price for petrol, you want to fix price for soft drinks, it's not done anywhere. Set up the rules, set up the rules
Right.
to govern the sector, and leave the system to
But
play.
the moment,
But you know-
the moment you fix things, you create loopholes
Yes.
for people to
So
manipulate.
this is what really makes it extremely difficult for your
And
honest
one of
people
the
to
biggest
come into
problems we
business.
have in Nigeria is actually regulatory risk.
Yeah.
Many businesses fail because of the behavior of regulators.
Regulators.
So knowing that, we need to work towards a system in which the boundaries are so clearly set that the regulators or whoever they are in the system are lame duck, literally. They're just general oversight people. Once they have power, and this system likes discretion, once they have discretion, abuse will be all over the place.
That's right.
And that makes it difficult for honest people to engage. And that's what we must work towards. Unless honest people can engage. Have you seen the recent Pricewaterhouse report on investment? Okay. Nigeria receives one of the least investment flows in Africa.
Now,
Now,
In spite of
even
the size of
less
economy.
investment flows than some of these
Small
good small countries around the place. Why is this so?
The indices are clear.
Investors go looking for places where, hey, the ease of doing business, you can trust people, get things done. There isn't a government agency breathing over your back, asking you for this and all of that. Civil society has a critical role to help our society adjust in this regard. Groups like the Convention on Business Integrity, which I mentioned earlier, are so important. We need to encourage them. If they put enough pressure and private sector players come and say, publicly, we will not give, we will not take. And all of us know that this company has said it will not give, will not take.
yeah.
They will be more reluctant to give or take. And when there is a critical mass of people who say, we will not give, we will not take, those people who want to take, who want to force them, will be more careful. One does it, word goes out, that person is isolated, the next day he's removed, and people out of fear, not out of being so good, begin to behave well. That's why in institutional economics, the old institutional economics school defines institutions as settled habits of a community.
Community, yes.
Because after a while, you don't even need the law to be implemented.
So, yeah.
People just behave that way.
Because in some way, we also seem to have failed as citizens. We have deferred too much to power and people in positions. Let me not call it government, because in some way, we are all part of government. So it's just this call for activism. We have deferred so very much to the point of cowing to people in authority. There is master-servant relationship that we have encouraged, because everybody has the mentality of what can I get? Forgetting that the people in power are working for us. So if we can put them more to task, put them under pressure. Because It's a trust. It's trust that they are holding
I'll
on
tell you a very
behalf.
interesting story, just as to make this point about how power, just dominates our culture. Many people won't have an event unless a government official, this white official will arrive 3 hours late, and everybody's waiting, and all of that. I was once in a restaurant in Washington. It was a group of Nigerians, one of who owns a company based in the US, owns one of his companies somewhere in Ikoyi, and we were having a dinner. And Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State as she was at the time, was having dinner. And then her husband, Bill Clinton, came to pick her up to get her to go home. And that was Secretary of State having dinner 2 tables away. And the former president arrived, and people in the restaurant were just carrying on as, some guys, that's me, that's like, nice. And I thought myself, oh my goodness, in my country.
There was something in the 90s, and I was publishing a magazine, and I interviewed Lulu Akinwumi when he was starting out his advertising agency. The statement he made stopped, each time I see him, is what he told me then, I remember.
People get used to the fact that you are honest, and when they look for somebody to do a good job, there's a point that this will do it for me because you can give me something.
Yeah.
Gets to. And you know that your boss is going to look out at your neighbor, competitor, how they're faring, and you are losing out to those people. You say, wait a minute, I need to go to that honest guy and get a good job done. So the honest guy should not go around advertising, I'm an honest guy, I'm an honest guy. Be honest, but be the best at doing that thing.
That's right.
That ultimately will get you where you're going. The first thing in business, for me, should be for everybody. First thing in business is integrity. Because commerce is about trust. If you take about the trust element, you build costs to try and manage just in case that person is not behaving appropriately. These are called transaction costs. And once there are high transaction costs, competitiveness is affected. That is at the heart of your being able to sustain the business. Lowering transaction costs to being trustworthy.
We've seen that we need to solve the problem of corruption in the business landscape in order to increase our investments. And if we don't, well, investments definitely will decrease. Mentorship is always a great solution and something that we should uphold as a society. Unfortunately, that's all that we have time for on today's show, but I hope that you were thoroughly enlightened and inspired. Please continue the conversation by following us on all our social media handles that are displayed on your screen right now. Till next time, my name is Fumbi Ogbawo. Take care.